Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Geekverse podcast. I'm the Clown Prince of Podcasts, and today is all about the Video Game Awards. I am joined by some special cohorts here. I'm going to introduce him first, the man, myth, the legend, returning since Miles Morales, Dylan Muss.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't that long ago,
No.
but then, like, before that was a long time, so I see what you're going for there. I'm glad to do this one. This is exciting. I didn't know if you guys were going to do this cast, so I'm glad that I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. We have decided that for the, I don't think we're doing a watch long because Keely announced that it might be 4.5 hours. And yeah, if we were in person, we might do it because then we could have some fun and hang out. But sitting on the computer, we're kind of like, not. But if there's big announcements, we might do a breakdown. But I'm also joined by the man in the blue shirt.
That would be me, the friendly neighborhood caster, Kirklin Patzer.
Beautiful. And then finally,
I am the Valhalla, Taylor Field.
Okay, biased votes incoming.
Oh,
yeah, every year. Taylor, where can they find us on the interwebs? And we're talking about video games. Well, actually, with Monday, we have no idea because this is dropping early for patrons for the weekend. But on Monday, we don't know what the polls will be because there's gonna be winners. But we're doing video game polls right now. If you don't know, on Facebook, every once in a while we do a bunch of characters from different brands or genres. This was all about Xbox and Sony characters, so it should be nearing its finale, right?
Just steals my thunder. You see that? Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, go and check out our social media. That's where you're gonna find the poll. Quickly check us out on Twitter, GeekverseCast. Check us out on Instagram, Geekverse, and then the poll is visible and available for all you guys to enjoy on our Facebook at Geekverse. So basically, it will be currently right now on today, Darth Malak versus Ezio, and then the next day it'll be Kratos versus Spider-Man. Then Sunday it will be Trevor versus Dragonborn, and then Monday when this drops we'll be moving into the free-for-all round, so it'll be the 3v3-for-all basically, so that should be interesting.
It shall.
Yeah, and as always, just go down the links below. Everything's there where you can find us on video, audio, or Patreon where you can get ad-free, exclusive episodes, early episodes. You can call and join After 9, just a whole slew of content and tiers you can get. So we're going to get into this. We've done this, I think, for almost 4 years now or something like that. We've done the predictions episode. So what this is, obviously the Video Game Awards are happening this week. Next week if you're listening to this on Patreon. And I'm excited for it. Like we just said, it is going to be a 4-hour runtime. So I'm going to watch it, but it's definitely going to be something I'll have on while cooking dinner, get from home. But they've announced a lot of things, like Brie Larson's going to be a host and Gal Gadot. Oh, yeah. Eddie
She's
Vedder's
big on the
gonna
Animal
be
Crossing,
there.
so that makes sense.
They've got lots of good names presenting stuff and probably crossovers. Like Wonder Woman's coming on December. I imagine we'll get like a Wonder Woman trailer there. So Keely's done another good job of just like pumping up the show, but obviously it's all about the game. So what do we want to start with? Do we want to start with the not least important, but I'll say like work our way up to Game of the Year, or start with Game of the Year?
I think we build up to it, personally.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm rolling. So I'm going to go down to the very last one on their thing. We are going to not do esports because we don't have any. We would just be guessing, and we don't want to do a disservice. So, Game Awards, just scroll up here. It just really wants me to learn about Carrion. Okay, so here we go. Their first category they have listed is Best Multiplayer for outstanding online multiplayer gameplay and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences. Animal Crossing New Horizons, Among Us, Call of Duty Warzone, Fall Guys, and Valorant. And then how this works is Dylan will be writing these. We're going to do what we want and what we think. I'll just personally go because the only multiplayer game I'm playing on that list is Call of Duty Warzone. So it's like a want, but it's just like it's a biased want, right? So as far as what I think's gonna win, it's tough because Animal Crossing, I think, could win some other categories people talk about, some great things about, but I don't know if that's the one. Fall Guy had a lot of hype, but I think I'm going to go with Warzone in a few categories this year just because it's new and it has a lot of hype. Not just because I'm playing it, but that's my prediction. So for my want, sure, Warzone, but my prediction is Call of Duty Warzone as well. Taylor, I imagine you're in the same camp.
I am. My wanted predictions are both going to be with Warzone. I mean, Modern Warfare came out, 2 years ago now? Warzone came out the year after. It's been growing strong. When it dropped, the players' community and the fan base was just through the roof in the millions. And now we are on the cusp of getting a new map and a brand new wave of seasonal content for Warzone. So they're just going to be popping off again. People are going to be getting excited. So, again, I feel like that's going to be all the rage for multiplayer coming up here.
The night before the Game Awards is when that new map drops, December 16th. They
December
officially announced.
16th,
So.
yeah.
Yeah. Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, this is an interesting category for me in so many ways because I mean even just looking at like what category would have Animal Crossing and Call of Duty, you know, like those are just so different. And it's weird, like Among Us didn't come out this year, so that also is kind of strange to me. Yeah, this one really could go many different ways. I think Animal Crossing's an interesting one because I think if we're looking at like the actual multiplayer experience of the game itself, it's pretty bad. Like it takes forever to load. It's really glitchy.
Heard, yeah.
All sorts of issues. But I think the multiplayer aspect of it just being like this massive community that's been developed around the game, people making art that you can import into your game, and like that's technically multiplayer even though you're not in a lobby with someone. So I think in that way, like it is just this big community experience. But I don't know. I think in terms of, I think you also have to have like a game that has like really quality actual multiplayer in it. And I don't know, Fall Guys is, I want to say Fall Guys is my prediction, but I feel like that game kind of got overshadowed by Among Us. And I just don't know if Among Us would win. Like I think the fact that it came out in 2018 is a weird one, and I obviously got enough votes to get to this stage, but I don't know if it's going to get enough to actually win it. Like I don't know how much the panelists care about the fact that it didn't technically release this year. And I think Valorant, cool game. I played it a good amount, but I don't think it'll win this. I'm gonna go with Call of Duty on this one as well, just because I think it is like pretty exceptional. Like 150 people, you know, in one game. That I've played a lot of it and had very few issues other than like lobbies dropping out. But like the actual experience of it works really well, and that's pretty impressive. So I'm gonna go with that one. And Taylor, did you also say Call of Duty? I zoned out while you picked your actual answer.
Yeah, it was my want and my prediction.
Okay, I'm not writing down our wants. I'm just
you
gonna
don't
write
gotta
down
do
our
that one. Yeah, we know what we want in the heart. Kirklin, where are you on this?
Yeah, I agree with everything that Dylan said regarding Animal Crossing. It's definitely a very community-driven game. I feel like it would just be nothing without like being able to download other people's designs or just even get inspirations from other people like online on how they design their island. But yeah, when you connect with someone, like it takes so long. It's pretty janky and just stuff like that. Which is why I wouldn't vote for it. Among Us, I've never really experienced it. I know it's kind of taking over. It's pretty crazy. You can play it on like I think like handheld like mobile devices as well as consoles and everything. And it seems like a really fun social game. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna say my prediction will be Warzone. Fall Guys I've played quite a bit, but it's just so like RNG in my opinion for like just you can be like just so randomly like make it through an entire course just by luck, like a ball just didn't hit you, you know. It's just a lot of stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it's it's like a hardcore multiplayer game where I'm grinding to get wins. It's kind of fun to play every once in a while. But then Valorant would be like my want because it's pretty cool to see like Riot actually making like a full scale like another game other than League of Legends. And I have a couple friends that play. I've never played it, but I'm just not really into like a tactical shooter like CS:GO. I just feel like it's quite the learning curve to like get good at it. So it's kind of deterred me in that sense. And Warzone is just, I mean, it's got all of us back on Call of Duty, so that's pretty crazy. And the fact that it's like a AAA battle royale, it runs smooth, it looks beautiful, it's very fun to play with friends. So yeah, I'm gonna predict that one.
The fact that I can say that Call of Duty is one of my favorite games of the year in 2020 is pretty wild. Like I would not have predicted that any other time.
I think one of the big things to boot for Call of Duty as well is just the crossplay functionality that it introduced.
True.
I mean, that just set
crossplay as well. Yeah.
That pay on your PC, pay on Xbox.
That just set the bar. And even so, it's crazy to think, okay, like I'm playing on a Series X, Travis is playing on a PS5, Kirklin plays on his PC, and then I mean, PS2. Dylan, you're playing on a PS4, and these are all these different generations and iterations of consoles, but we're all still playing the same game together, and that's never been done in the history of gaming before. So it just blows my mind that we're at that peak point where everyone is included, everyone can play games together.
Not mobile users. That's Among Us. Maybe Among Us will take the award for that reason.
At first, earlier, I had misheard, and I thought Kirklin was talking about Call of Duty Warzone being RNG. I'm like, I fucking wish. Like, I know there is some luck to it. Like, you create, but I'm like, okay, he's trying to make some excuse for his recent losses. Oh, it's just an RNG game. I
Fuck
can't.
that game. It's
Yeah.
bullshit.
This one we won't have much to add on, but best sports or racing game, Dirt 5, F1 or F1 2020.
F.U.
Is
Me.
it FU? Oh, okay. I'm like that does look
Got
like a one.
him.
FIFA 21,
Good kill.
NBA 2K21, and Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2. Again, none of the sports game I would play. I think for the hype, I'm just gonna say I don't have a want, so that doesn't matter. I think Tony Hawk will get it. I had looked into this, and I also, because I always do this every year, I listen to multiple podcasts before we do this, because I'm always about trying to get those points. I had heard that Tony Hawk actually didn't sell as great as people were thinking it was going to, so that I was actually kind of surprised about that, because I swear when that game was announced, my timeline was just fired up with I can't wait to play it, I can't wait, and the fact that it didn't do the greatest is strange, but I still think it'll get the hype vote because I haven't heard enough. I guess Dirt 5 is a potentiality, but I think I'm gonna go with Tony Hawk for the nostalgia.
Yeah, I think it's just a bit too expensive. Like, it's a fun throwback game, but I think for most people to 50, it's not like a full price game, but still $50-$60 for a game that's like a remake of just some Tony Hawk games for just two of them feels a bit expensive. I know that's for me, it's a game that every sale that has happened since the game released, I've checked because I really want to pick it up, but it's just always a bit too expensive. So that's probably why it didn't sell the best. But I agree with you that it was kind of seemed to be the most relevant. I don't know. I obviously people buy these FIFA games and NBA games every year, but I just never hear people talk about them. So it's always really hard to know if this new FIFA 21 is a really solid game or if it's just the same thing as it was last year.
I heard it has a lot more bugs than it normally comes out with, so that's a thumbs down.
Oh, like the wrestling
yeah,
game.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Don't even bring up my wrestling game.
And I'm a fan of the Dirt series, but
I'm a fan of the
this
Dirt.
one, well, I don't know. It came out really recently, in the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. So I'm gonna go with Tony Hawk's as one. I really want to get the game when it's on a nice price, but also a lot of people seem pretty hyped on it. And then I think it also just stands out from the pack here. So if anything, it'll just win for that reason because it's got a more mass appeal than these other ones that would bunch together either racing or just really traditional sports game.
Definitely. I'll go, I guess. So the racing games, I feel all these games are pretty niche other than Tony Hawk in my opinion, because if you like the NBA, you'd get the NBA one. If you soccer, you'd get the soccer game. But I feel for the racing games, it's really those hardcore racing simulator players that would really be into that. I feel maybe they got the actual steering wheel, shifter, and everything. They're totally in. That's the only games they play, and I just feel that's not a big enough crowd. So I feel the one that would kind of get more of a widespread audience is Tony Hawk. So I'll go with that one.
Cross-pay. Taylor, what about you? You in the Hawk business?
I'm more in the Eagle business, but if you ask me, I'm personally going to throw my prediction towards FIFA. I think there's a lot of soccer boys out there, and those people back east. I think there's a lot of fans out there. Back east, yeah. They're all about using their feet and playing foot sports and stuff. So,
do you know how these awards are rated on?
There's a lot, I would say, of people that I know that are Halo fans, and they also love sports games, particularly FIFA. So I feel
yeah, but there's not that many Halo fans out there, so I don't know what the comparison you're trying to make.
They're not going to be meeting you. No Halo fans want to be associated with you, Mr. Kratos.
What does that mean? They're not going to be meeting me.
Mr.
I'm not looking
Kratos.
to meet. I'm not trying to. Yeah, at least I got a fucking Game of the Year award winner. I'm not trying to meet Halo fans. They don't have a fan a sign where are you? All right, so you are FIFA. Best sim or strategy, best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation strategy gameplay. Crusader Kings 3, Desperados 3, Gear Tactics 1, Flight Simulator, XCOM Squad, Chimera Squad. Is that how you say
Chimera.
it? Chimera Squad. I have no fucking idea for this, to be honest. I'm gonna. I don't know I don't know why Flight Simulator is really in there.
That's
It's a sim.
I feel like they changed it this year. Like I feel like in the past it's been like best strategy or like
this
best
is best
description
sim
there.
/ strategy. Yeah,
Like,
so
yeah,
it's
read
a
the description
simulation
there.
game.
It says
yeah.
best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation.
I just read
or
that out,
strategy
Kirklin.
gameplay.
I just read that out.
I muted you. I muted Travis, so I can't hear.
Taylor, what? So this might factor my prediction. What do you feel like the hype is on Gear Tactics? The only reason I'm leaning towards is because I'm just wondering if just because it's the biggest name, it gets the vote. As far as not biggest, but just like it's
Ooh,
flashy
I
with something.
disagree.
for
Out of
Gears.
these titles, I mean, before I get into like the Gears, like Flight Simulator has a fairly large cult following. I'm just gonna throw that out there. But with Gears Tactics, yes, it is like a very big name that's been slapped onto this, and is a game that I wanted to try. I streamed a little bit of it the other day, and when I was reading into reviews for it, a lot of people that weren't hyped on it, they tried it because it was included on Games Pass, and it has completely won them over. They love what they're getting into, and I have to admit, like even myself playing it, I love what I've experienced so far. And I'm not even a big fan of those kind of like XCOM game style, I guess. I liked Mario Kingdom or in the Rabbids or whatever that was. I liked the kind of gameplay that they did with that. And again, Gears Tactics kind of like mimics that kind of style with that XCOM-esque aesthetic. And I think it's got a lot of potential. And I'm going to put my, I'm going to make my pick that actually. I feel like that's probably going to take the cake. I feel like it'll be that or Flight Simulator. I feel like it's going to be those two.
You're gonna
No,
go
I don't
Gears,
think it's
though?
Flight Simulator.
Flight Simulator is a popular game.
I feel like it's that or XCOM.
It's
I
on
would
Games
feel
Pass
like.
as well.
But
Yeah,
but
I feel
yeah,
like
go
I
ahead, Dan.
heard people really like Gears Tactics, or like it sounded more like people maybe were like pleasantly surprised with it, like they didn't expect much, but then it was like, oh, this is quite fun. But what I'm curious is how people who aren't Gears fans what they thought of it, right? Because is it like a solid strategy game on its own, or is it just fun because it has that aesthetic to it? That's what I'm curious about. I think I'm gonna go with an out-of-the-box pick, a game that I haven't really heard about, but I just feel like might have it, is Crusader Kings 3. I've never heard of Desperados 3, so there's that. I did hear a lot about Flight Simulator. I think I would just feel weird if that won for some reason. I don't know why. It just doesn't sit right with me with these other games, that there's just like Flight Simulator among these strategy games. And then XCOM, I thought that was a DLC. I don't really know what's going on there. So I'm going to go with Crusader Kings on this one.
Kirkland.
Yeah, I feel like Microsoft Flight Simulator, at least when it was coming out, I had heard like a lot of people just saying like how much of a jump it had been from like the previous game. So like, I don't know, maybe that's enough to make it up for nomination, but I wouldn't vote for it. I'm gonna double up with Dylan. I'm gonna go Crusader Kings. At least in like my timeline, I had seen a lot of people hyped on it. I had never played the series, but it's just another one of those grand strategy games that apparently if you play it and you're into those sort of games, it's a great step up from like the last couple of games. So I think like review wise, it was very, very high and a lot of people loved it. So I'm gonna give it my vote.
Nice.
I'll go with Taylor. I'll go Gear Tactics just because I think maybe the name and this is one I'm willing to lose a point on. I feel like I got other categories I feel very certain on. This one, I don't know. But this one here is one that I feel very certain on. Best family game. The best game appropriate for family play of the genre or irrespective of the genre or platform. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. Super depressing that I've not even touched that game, but that's what happens when you just put it out.
I thought that was part of the name. Crash Bandicoot, super depressing. I was like, what game is this?
Fall Guys.
It's a drama.
Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout. Mario Kart Live. Home Circuit. Didn't even fucking hear
Oh,
of
is that the mobile one?
I think it is, yeah.
No,
That's the real like actual cart that you put in your living room, isn't it?
Yeah, you buy. It's like a little RC car, and you get
Right.
these little.
God.
These little, I don't know what you'd call them, I guess little flags or something that you drive through, and then it's like you look on your Switch and it outputs the camera from the little RC car, and so you're playing on your screen, but then you're driving around the RC car. It looks really, really fun. And if I had like a big house I could make some cool courts with, or make some cool courses with, I would probably get it.
The
But
house,
it's also very expensive.
The house is not included.
Yeah.
Nintendo needs to tell people that.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Okay, well, maybe they can build it with Labo, build me a house of Labo. That'd be great. Minecraft Dungeons and Paper Mario, the Origami King. I'm going Animal Crossing. I think this is where it gets to shine. I think we've talked about this many years. Award shows, music, TV, film, and even the video game awards do this where they like to spread the love. I think Animal Crossing is going to lose in a lot of places. I know some people are predicting Game of the Year. We'll get to that, but I don't think that's going to happen. I personally think this is where it's the guaranteed win, and it gives it the shine to give it a good win. And it was talk of the town for people are still playing it, but when it came out, that was a big wave of hype. So I think it's a lock for this one. And I also think that same thing with other categories later on. When something's in the best Game of the Year category, it usually wins its category when it's like the best of this, the best independent, the best action. So same thing of like family game, whatever. It's just this kind of weird genre that Nintendo usually just wins. I am putting my stock in Animal Crossing in the win there. Taylor?
It's good enough for Elijah Wood. It's good enough for me. I'm going to make my point go to Animal Crossing.
Wow. Feels like we've been here before. Kirklin Patzer.
Yeah, I think it will be Animal Crossing. Minecraft Dungeons, I remember like a little bit of hype around it when it first came out, but it very much tapered off, I feel. I don't think a lot of people stuck around with it, at least from what I was hearing. And then a lot of these other games I really hadn't heard much about. I still think it's an absolute tragedy that you can only have one island like per console. I feel like that's pretty ridiculous because like if you have, let's say it's a family and you have one console, like is that only 2 people that can play that? Like let's say you have 4 kids. Better get like 4 Switches or something. That's still a little crazy.
That's how they sell their Switch lights.
Yeah, Switch lights. That's a good marketing ploy there. Get your Animal Crossing version. But so yeah, I think it will be Animal Crossing. Travis, I feel like made some good points where they do like to spread the love, and that is a great game, but it'll probably slip through the cracks on a lot of these categories.
Dylan?
This is as Travis said, traditionally the best Nintendo game category, so I think it's just going to be a Nintendo game. For me, family game feels weird to go with just a straight up single player game like Crash Bandicoot or Paper Mario, even if those are solid games. I played Minecraft Dungeons, pretty fun, but I don't think that really has a chance. Mario Kart, I think it's just probably too expensive for enough people to have it to be even in the position to vote for it. And then I do think Fall Guys has a great chance actually, but I will go with Animal Crossing because it is a fantastic game. It's a great family game. You get a whole family on playing on one island together. I'm sure that's pretty cool. And then it just has like the community aspect of it. So yeah, I think that's just a no-brainer on that one.
Best fighting game for the best game design primarily around head-to-head combat. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, Street Fighter V Champion Edition, One Punch Man, A Hero Nobody Knows, Under Night in Birth, Exilate Control R?
What, Birth Control? That's what I heard.
You missed the letter there, but that works.
Did I? Oh, what, is it CLR though? Is it? I thought it was being like CL like for control when you hit control.
It's
like
for calcium, lime, and rust.
Cool. I'm gonna just say it's gonna go to Mortal Kombat. I feel like none of these games are talked about that much, and I feel like last year it was up there with Smash, but Smash won over it because, again, I don't think it was going to win Game of the Year, so they give it to that. I think with Ultimate, they've added a lot of cool people. Like, they got Sylvester Stallone in there now. They got Arnold Schwarzenegger. You got the Joker. They've been doing tons of stuff for that game, so I think that it will get the... I think this will get the... I know that game, and that's a popular franchise fighting, and it hasn't won in a while, so Mortal Kombat is my pick. Kirkland.
Yeah, I really want One Punch Man to win this category. Just gameplay that I've seen from it, it's just so like creative because that show is just very like creatively written, and they do a good job at translating that into the fighting game. Where like you're fighting, and then you're basically just trying to find time for the One Punch Man to get there, and it's really hilarious, and they did a good job at doing the show justice in that regard. So I really hope it wins, but unfortunately I don't think it is because it's, again, niche audience. So I really feel, again, I don't know Grand Blue or the other one, so I feel like it'll be between Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I think Mortal Kombat is a little bit more of a polished game. Hopefully I'm not offending any hardcore Street Fighters game, but it was a PS Plus free game, and I played a little bit of it. I tried because I don't really have too many arcade fighters, so I wanted to try one out, and it was a free PlayStation game, and I found it so clunky and like very hard to play in my own personal opinion, so I'm going to go with Mortal Kombat.
Plus, I mean, it's not like a new game either, so I feel like the amount of people that would even vote for it is, I mean, obviously enough to have it in the nominees here, but I don't know if it'd be enough to win that. My question on this one comes down to, all the outlets that pick these games, and then like, the vote is between those same outlets plus like a small percentage of the community vote. I guess my question is, like, people who had maybe played a little bit of Mortal Kombat, a little bit of Street Fighter, would they vote for it, or would they abstain from voting in that case? I really have no idea. And, if it would be more just people who are more into the fighting game community, people who are playing these games, would it just be those people voting? That's what I really don't know. I think Mortal Kombat is probably the safe vote. Not to say you guys are going for the safe vote, but I'm going to go with a little bit of wild card here just for the sake of it, and I'm going to go with Grand Blue Fantasy.
Nice. It looks like Fire Emblem.
Yeah, a little bit.
That cover. Yeah. Just a different character, like colors and everything.
Taylor, where are you swinging on this one?
I'm going to go with Mortal Kombat. I mean, it's got Predator, it's got Alien in there. It's just got so many iconic characters. I feel like it's got, no matter what kind of like fan base you're attached to, it's got something to kind of rope you in a little bit. So,
yeah.
Plus, all the custom characters people made in that game were hilarious. Seeing some of that stuff.
Best role-playing game for the best game designed with rich character customization, progression, including massively multiplayer experiences. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Genshin Impact, Persona 5 Royal, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. Dylan Musk, what are you thinking for best role-playing game?
Yeah, I think this to me is the first really difficult choice that we've had here. Because, I mean, even within the role-playing genre, which is just such a massive genre, these are all very, very different games, and each one of these I've heard a lot of praise for, except for maybe Wasteland, but even then I did hear a lot of people really like that game, and it's a game that I want to try out at some point too. I think this is probably the only category that Final Fantasy VII Remake could win, other than maybe score. But then so many people love Genshin, so many people love Yakuza. This one is really tricky for me. I think the safe bet is probably Final Fantasy, but I think Yakuza is maybe just a bit too new. It came out in the last month or so, and I mean maybe that's in its favor. People with recency. I'm gonna go with the Genshin Impact on this one. I played like an hour of it. I was not very into it, but I'm hearing a lot of people who are just like totally addicted to it. So I'm gonna go with that one.
Taylor.
I'm going with Yakuza. I've played a few of the titles with Ruben. He's a big fan of them. He's gotten me to like introduced to that whole kind of franchise a little bit, and they're super, super enjoyable, wacky games. So I think that it's got a fair shot.
Kirklin Batzer.
Yeah, 100% with what Dylan said. This is super challenging category. It doesn't help that I haven't played any of these games, but just going from trying to be strategic with my pick here. I feel like Final Fantasy VII, I feel like you're kind of stuck to that character, so I can't see how much you could customize like from those characters. Like you wouldn't be changing Cloud's hair or anything like that. I don't think so. So I think I'm gonna go with Yakuza with Taylor on this one. Never played it. Looks
like a lot of
sort of. It reminds me of like Saints Row, like kind of that feeling.
Yeah.
Just kind of over the top craziness. So that's my pick.
I'm going to go with Final Fantasy VII because I think that it does still have a chance in Game of the Year later. But again, it's kind of that system I stick with. If it's not going to win Game of the Year, I think it will win somewhere else, and these games weren't up there. So I think this is where they can honor it, give it it's kind of like a big shout out too, because obviously Final 7 Remake, there's some people not happy with it, but I feel like the majority, it went a lot better than it could have. I think people were pretty worried how bad that game could have turned out, and it turned out pretty well. So it's almost like a tribute to like the original role-playing game, and it's like that was so big back in the day to like give it this award. So that that's my pick. I think I'm just going with the safe one there.
Mm-hmm.
And this one is interesting as well. Best action/adventure game. For the best action-adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Ghosts of Tsushima, Marvel's Spider-Man Miles Morales, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Last of Us Part 2. Taylor, I'm going to start with you because how do you feel? This was, they had like a little streak there going for a while, but Assassin's Creed not getting in Game of the Year this year. So how do you feel about that? Is it a little bit of a step down? Obviously, you can go check out our review or Taylor's review. It's on the feed. But how do you feel about it's kind of just back to where it used to be? So some people kind of looked at it as maybe it's a step down, kind of back to not basics, but the last two had so much hype. One snuck in Game of the Year.
I mean, to me, when you look at like on this new trajectory they're going with Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla. Odyssey, the previous title, is just at the bottom of these three. I would easily put Valhalla at the top of this list, and then Origins and Odyssey. I am surprised it didn't make it in there because everything they've done with Valhalla is fantastic. The combat system has improved tenfold from what they were trying to build off of that started in Origins, improved again with Odyssey. So I think they've come a long way, and this is just a fantastic Assassin's Creed title in addition to the franchise. Now, this category you said was, what was it specifically for? Most
Best
improved?
action and adventure. No, most improved.
Most improved, like combat.
Most improved, Ghost of Tsushima.
Well, no, I thought you said most improved like, in terms of like combat or like mechanic wise, like
combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving.
I mean, I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima, but I feel like Ghost would probably take like a win over this.
I'll jump in there because I do think, again, it's boring. That's my formula. But I don't think Ghost is going to win Game of the Year. I think it could be an underdog, but I don't think it will. But I just think it has not so much the puzzle-solving aspect, but as far as action-adventure, I've played Miles, I've played Jedi Fallen Order. Last of Us Part 2, I think, was one of those just to fill out the category because like it is an action-adventure in a sense, but that is way more story-based than something else. I've not played Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I was just wondering because I feel like I've heard not that much hype around this one. All I know is you, who've played it, and Chris, who I host Marvel Alliance with, he's talking about Amazon returning it because he's just like not really a fan of it. So I just feel like in general I've not heard too much talk about Assassin's Creed, where the last two there was so much talk about them, especially last year one getting Game of the Year, that was, or I think it was a year ago getting Game of the Year, and that was massive. So I think Ghost of Tsushima has hype. It has new multiplayer out right now that's very popular as well. I think Miles just isn't big enough. There is a recency bias there, so maybe it could squeak in, but I don't think so. I feel like if this was a full game, it would get that, but I'm with Ghost. So I'm going to Taylor, if you have an official prediction, you can throw it out.
I'll go with Ghost. I don't feel like Fallen Order hit that like note to reach that point, and I mean, yeah, Miles Morales. That's I can't really comment much on that. And Assassin's Creed, like, yeah, compared to like Ghosts and what they were trying to do, I'm gonna put my vote for Ghosts.
I feel like one thing against. From what I've heard from Assassin's Creed is that it's just very, very long, like an incredibly long game. I don't know if they've all been like that recently, but it's super long and it came out like not too long ago, right? So it's like how long, like when did the people who get to pick these nominees get their votes in? You know, had they a few days with the game? Did they have a couple weeks? I'm not sure. I don't think, for how long of a game I've heard, I don't know if they had enough time to really. Obviously, it's got enough to be in here, but I
think they're trying to go for the cyberpunk length, that 175-hour duration.
Plus, yeah.
So savage. Who wants that? That's so long. I don't know. This is a really interesting category. I think Star Wars is kind of funny that that's in there. Last of Us, I don't think. I mean, we haven't talked about that. I think that'll win many other categories and not this one.
Yeah.
I don't think Assassin's Creed is going to take it. To me, it's kind of a three-way tie between Ghosts, Spider-Man, and Ori. I do think Ori could very well win this one, actually. And Ghost is definitely my personal pick, though I haven't played Ori personally. But I'm actually going to have my prediction on Ori for this one. Heard a lot of good things about that game. And I think this is the category that I would win for, just based on... For the best action-adventure game combining combat with traversal and puzzle solving, I feel like that's where Ori could take it, whereas Ghosts might be better off in a separate genre.
Ooh,
Kirklin Patzer.
Yeah,
I forgot I'm first, you know.
Ooh, very nice. Yes, I'm gonna put this one with Ghost. I don't know. I'm not going to go into too much details. You guys pretty much covered everything.
Sure.
Last of
Bandwagon.
Us, I feel like it's definitely just a fill-in. We need another game, so let's throw that in there. That will definitely win some other categories, but I don't think it's going to win this one. Fallen Order, just with all the bugs, I don't think that game should win anything.
What if it was most buggiest game?
Well, there you go. I'll eat my words.
The Razzie.
I didn't remember you played Fallen Order, Kirklin. I didn't realize that you dived
Me?
into it.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Wow.
Didn't we all borrow your copy of the game? Or no, I guess Travis's copy.
He
'cause
borrowed
had
my
the
copy.
PlayStation.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Fun game.
Check out my review for the couple of minutes I played the game.
and then even then, like that game, I feel like did have a lot of hype last year, but it was the last year game. It's in that weird category where
Yeah.
the same thing Cyberpunk next year will be in, where it's Cyberpunk will be in next year's game of award years, unless it just bombs. But I don't think that's going to happen. So. So now we're going to just a very similar one, Best Action Game. The game for the best game in an action genre focused primarily on combat. Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life, how do you say that?
Alex.
Alex,
Alex.
there you go. Neo 2 and Streets of Rage 4. This one's tricky for me personally because it's kind of stuck between Doom Eternal and Hades. I think...
Me too.
It's kind of that thing of like Hades is a game of the year nom, right? But it's also I'm pretty sure it's Abyss Independent, so that's where I think it's going to get a win there. So spoiler for my prediction there. So that's why I don't know, but as somebody that I'm very excited to play Doom Eternal, I love that first one of this new iteration. I've not heard too much conversation about Doom Eternal. I'm not sure if it because it got delayed like twice and it's just one of those.
I think
people
it's because it came out the
overhyped for
same day as Animal Crossing. Is the
that
biggest
too
reason.
as well. So I just feel like it hasn't had that resurgence. So I'm really torn on this one. I will still go with Doom Eternal just because I think Hades will get it somewhere else. But this one so far is honestly the category that I probably feel like the least confident on out of all the ones we picked so far, just because my lack of experience with them and lack of chatter. I'm not in this, I'm not in many gaming communities, but the one I am, it's not really like this type of just pure action game. So I'll go Doom Eternal, but again, this is one that I think I could be losing some points on. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's really cool that Neo 2 and Streets of Rage 4 are in here. None of them really have a chance to win, but I think it's sweet that they're in there. Half-Life Alyx is going to win a separate category that I'm sure we'll get to pretty soon. So yeah, I'm in the same boat as Travis. It's a 50-50 for me. And I think this is the one... I'm going to go with Hades. I'm going to go with Hades on this one. It is, for me, truly a flip of the coin. I think, Doom Eternal, this is really the only one that has a chance at winning. But I know that's also not really how these awards are picked. So, Hades is just obviously it's in like 7 or 8 categories. Massive game this year. It kind of just came out of nowhere as well. So I think that one is also a little more recent too, probably a bit fresher on people's minds. Whereas Doom Eternal came out in March. Maybe a long time ago, people forgot about it. I know a DLC came out in August, but I didn't hear anyone talk about the DLC. Whereas I heard a lot of people talk about the game when it initially came out. Even then, it still got overshadowed by Animal Crossing. But yeah, I'm going to go with Hades for those reasons.
Kirklin?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think this is a flip of the coin between Hades and Doom Eternal. I really want Neo 2 to win, but that's just because I really like that game series. I think that they're doing really unique things with that game. Half-Life Alyx, it's tough because it's so tied to VR, right? So it's very much a niche group. And then Streets of Rage. This is the game you were telling me about, right, Dylan?
I don't know if
on our out of Mana episode.
No, I haven't.
Oh,
I haven't
okay.
played it, but
Oh, okay. It's definitely another game that's similar though, where it's like a side scroller.
I was telling you. I think
Streets
it was
of
Hunt
something.
Down is the one you're thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, I think I am gonna go Doom Eternal just because I feel like it'll fall through the cracks in some other categories, and I heard it's a beautiful game. I heard it's super fun, just like the first one was. I've only ever played the first one, but that game's just awesome. So I'm gonna go with Doom Eternal. Hades definitely snuck up though. That is a game that came out of nowhere, and I was very surprised with how many people I knew that were playing it, and like how much just talk it was getting. So that's pretty crazy for that games company, because they also did. Was it Bastion? Was that their first game?
Bastion and Transistor.
Oh, okay.
And, I mean, Hades was a shadow drop too. It was like it was in early access, but no one knew when it was actually coming out. And then they're like, it's in a Nintendo Direct and it comes out today, and then everyone
That's
in the
really-
world played it apparently.
That's very impressive
Yeah.
for them to get like this many nominations.
Mhm.
So good for them.
Yeah.
Can
The field.
you repeat all the nominations?
I can't. No.
Doom Eternal, Hades, Half-Life
yeah.
Alyx, Neo 2, and Streets of Rage.
Okay, I only asked because a lot of these game titles are just they're not my usual go-tos. I'm gonna drop my thing on Doom Eternal.
Okay.
You're gonna drop
your
your
thing.
thing on Doom Eternal.
Ew.
Eh? Wow, that's there you go. Before we get to our next award, we are about to throw to our first ad break. As always, these help support the channel. They help grow the channel. If you are, it kind of depends on what podcatcher you're using. I don't know what's going on over here, but whatever you are, maybe turn down the volume just in case. And if you don't like these ads, if you don't like these ads, oh my fucking god! If you don't like these ads, Patreon, there's an ad-free feed. So I'm gonna throw it to him in 3, 2, 1, and we are about to be back. 3, 2, 1, and we're back. What happened all there?
Okay, Kirklin was laughing because he knew he fudged up, and his on the recording, if you're watching visually, you're gonna see his screen turn blue and just oops pop over his head.
Because Kirkland is our resident, hey, every 25 minutes, give me a warning so we can go. And then Taylor's like, it's 40 minutes in. Have we had an ad break yet? No, we haven't. But we like to let you know, the fans know, so you get a brief warning.
On that note, one sec. Why you ranted in the chat, but why'd you drop the eggplant? Because I don't understand why you dropped that when you're ranting.
Shoutouts to
about
eggplants. What are we talking about? What?
It's good and good for you.
Oh, it was an angry boner. Angry boner. That's how it
Okay,
is.
glad to know.
That's what's going on right now. Innovation and accessibility, recognizing software and or hardware that is pushing the medium forward by adding features, technology, content to help games be played and enjoyed by even a wider audience. I think this is 110% Last of Us
Yep.
because I just feel like it is above and beyond. We're going to get into story and stuff like that, and there's controversy, but as far as just you look, it's the same way we always talk about the Star Wars movies, right? There's controversy, sure, but that trilogy, it's like they have some beautiful looking images and they're crisp and they're some of the best well-made like blockbuster films. So that's kind of the way I feel this is. No matter what you care about the characters, the story, things like that, it's just pushing the medium forward, and it does things that no other game has done. It's a beautiful thing, and I'm very excited to see what Naughty Dog does next. And Last of Us Part 2 for me here.
Yeah, from what I heard, Last of Us has the best accessibility options out of any game of all time ever. So I don't think there's much of a conversation here. This is an easy win.
Yeah. I'll go Last of Us.
I should have went last. I feel like I'm
I'm glad you
Kirkland
went
some
first
points.
because I probably would have went with like Hyperdot or something.
Hyper Dog.
Grounded based on Dylan and Taylor's stream.
Yeah, Grounded's cool. I mean, that's an accessibility option that if you're scared of spiders, you can turn on the arachnophobia mode and it turns them into like, I don't know, something cute instead. But what do you got, Taylor?
Taylor?
I'm gonna drop Last of Us 2.
You fuckers.
I thought you were gonna go Grounded. I thought you were baiting us in.
Okay. Best VR/AR game. The best game for experience with a playable in virtual or augmented reality. Dreams, Half-Life Alyx, Marvel's Iron Man, Star Wars Squadrons, The Walking Dead, Saints and Sinners. I'm going to pull what you guys just did, and I'm going to go with Half-Life just because I know Dylan has talked to me a lot about it, and he's been my source as far as what it's done there. And honestly, like
awesome.
Star Wars having VR, great, but I don't hear anyone
Well,
talk
you were
about
his
it.
you were
I
his
feel like
source,
fucking
Dylan.
Iron Man, I've
Tell
not
us
heard
about that.
anyone breathe
Yeah, I
about
mean,
it till like 2
Half-Life
years ago. I
Alyx,
didn't even know it was out. So
surprised that it
shows
wasn't
that's
in the
really
Game of the
great.
Year category. So
Oh,
I
I'm
think
gone.
for me, that's why like it'll probably just.
I'm back.
Welcome back, Travis. Welcome back.
Oh, I just feel like nothing Iron Man, no one's talked about it. It came out and it's just like it just happened. Star Wars Squadron says I say I'm not sure if I got cut off. It had VR, but I don't hear anyone talk about that aspect. So I'll go with Half-Life based on what Dylan has talked to me about and then the few ones I have listened to as far as it seems like that's the one that is kind of used this the best, where it still feels like VR is kind of, I won't say lost, but it still just hasn't hit its stride yet. So Half-Life, Alex, for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me the way that like Half-Life and Half-Life 2 were incredibly innovative games at the time, and even if you go back on them now, they seem a bit simple because so many games like BioShock and Dishonored and all these kind of games have followed suit and built off those things that it innovated. This is the same thing here. I think Half-Life Alyx just kind of reinvented what VR is, or like it's like what people always thought VR games would be, or what they hoped for. And Half-Life was like the first game to really do that in just a way that I guess people have been wanting for years. And I think the only thing that maybe is holding it back is that you would need to spend like $1,000 to play it if you don't have a headset already. But I think this is a pretty easy win for Half-Life.
Yeah, I think this is a lock for Half-Life Alyx. Anytime you have like, I don't know, possible game of the year murmurs on a VR game, I think it's pretty confident that that game is going to win the VR category, because I feel like VR games, like they are very like I don't know, futuristic on like what you can do in them, but they still just seem very I don't know, like they're not accessible enough for everyone yet, as well as when you spend all this money on it, I feel like most of the games do kind of look like a PS2 game or something. Like they're a little fuzzy, the graphics aren't that great. It's great that you're in the game, but it just doesn't look as good as, and then I'll compare it to like Half-Life Alyx, like things that I've seen from that game, it looks beautiful, and it's a VR game, and so yeah, there you go. I think that's a lock.
I'm going to go a different route. I'm gonna put my lock on Star Wars Squadrons. I
knew it.
Yeah,
Oh no! Taylor, don't do this.
I've been playing it. I've been absolutely loving it, and from what I've seen with people that have the game and been investing hours into it via VR, they love it. It just blows their minds, just the aesthetic and just the gameplay and just how it feels like you're in that universe. I think that's just so cool to capture that in this day and age with the technology of VR. So that's my lock.
Nice.
That's your luck. Okay, that's quite a statement. Best
That's his
community
lock.
support. Oh, that's his lock. I thought you said that's a lock.
I thought he said luck too. That's why I was like,
okay.
that doesn't make sense.
Best community support, recognizing a game for outstanding community support, transparency, responsive inclusion of social media activity, game updates / patches. Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Fortnite, No Man's Sky, and Valorant. Kirklin, what do you got?
Oh, starting with me. I can't just feed off your guys' picks anymore. All right.
Nope. Toss it around.
I think I'm gonna go with Apex Legends on this one, like solely on the fact that when when the game first came out and everyone was playing it, I was playing it and I was really hyped. I was still on Twitter at the time, where like I think there was like, I don't know, like a server crash or something, but like right away the developers were like on Twitter, like getting feedback to everyone. Like, again, this was years ago, so I don't know how much this holds out now, but I'm gonna put my pick on that for that sole reason, because all of these other games, I don't know. I guess Fall Guys could be on there because they did change a couple things. I think they switched. They like took out certain team games because that was a huge complaint that I had. They were just so random. Like you could be popping off, but your team just sucks ass, so therefore you lose. And that like took me out of the game for that reason. But I heard people were pissed off about it, so they took it back. You know what? I'm gonna go with Fall Guys for that reason.
Wow, you're making me untype and retype.
Taylor.
Yeah, gotta make it work.
I am going to drop it onto Apex Legends. They just had a really big update, and they've had a lot of things. I think they got the community really, really happy with the changes that they're doing to the game. And yeah, I just think that they got people that are really in tune with the community and such. I think you have other games that kind of hit a peak, like Fortnite and stuff, where they just keep pumping stuff out and they start disregarding, I think, certain things that the community is kind of suggesting and stuff, because a lot of like people hated on the mechs and stuff like that, and Fortnite just kept rolling with them and kept doing all these other things. So it's
Taylor, you just hate Fortnite. You should see Dylan our Facebook chat every
They're adding
day.
Halo.
well, it's a cop
Taylor's
out.
fucking complaining about it. It's not. They're just adding. Like I'm not even playing Fortnite, even though today they did add the Joker. So that's like that's getting me in the nibblies there. But like I just feel like they're just trying to create new content, get a buzz, and you're just fucking like
They're
hating
getting
on them.
a
Like,
buzz,
if we could have
but
like
they should create new
if we could
content
have
of
some
their
of these
own.
perks, we would take
They
them.
should
What?
create new genuine
They
content
did,
of their
and they're
own.
building on that.
They're building on it by
They did.
incorporating Marvel and Star Wars onto it. They should have kept building what they had originally, because they started off great
So
with their
how
own
do you-
content.
But then how can you enjoy something like The Mandalorian, where Disney didn't create Star Wars? They went out and fucking bought it and then created that show.
Yeah, but they bought it to build off the universe. If they wanted to, they could buy Apex and start building off of whatever they want there.
No, but they've made a partnership to build their own thing. I just don't think it's a bad thing for Fortnite to be like getting exclusives and like, getting more people into it that haven't before. I don't see it as you just treat it as like this dirty, raw move all the time. It's just like they're just trying to make a fucking successful game.
Let me get us
here.
back on track here. Not to spite you, Taylor. I'm gonna pick Fortnite. They have
Me too. Yeah.
They have like some crazy events, and I mean I don't care to play the game, but like earlier this year they did like that blackout thing where they like deleted the game and like no one could play it for like a day or two, and that was like this huge thing. They have like the Galactus event, whatever. Like it's just massive. I want Fall Guys to win because I think it'd be really cool for an indie game, quote unquote indie game. I don't know. I think there's still a good amount of employees there, but it's still an indie game in many ways. I think that'd be really cool for an indie game to win community support, but I think Fortnite is going to take it.
Yeah, like I said, I'm the same. I think it could. I think it has a lot of buzz. It always is good at keeping a buzz around, so that is my guess as well.
Is it? Hang on, I just want to say, Dylan, is it because? And Travis, you guys are going Fortnite. Is this because you could watch Nolan films in Fortnite?
Absolutely. It's the only reason.
Not my
The
pick.
best way to watch Tenet. Best mobile game is for the best playable on a mobile device. Among Us, Call of Duty Mobile, Genshin Impact, Legends of Runeterra, and Pokemon Cafe Mix. I will say I'll go Among Us because why the fuck not? Taylor Field.
Galaxy Heroes wasn't on that list, Travis.
It wasn't on that list.
That's a shame. I'll go with Among Us.
It's never been on that list.
It should be.
I'm going to also join on this Among Us train.
I'm gonna also go on Among Us.
I'm surprised Pokemon Go isn't actually on there with all the updates and everything they've done with Pokemon Bank and,
It's a shit game. It's a shit
Well,
game.
they've come a
best
long way.
indie game. They haven't come that far. They ain't get nominated. Best indie game, outstanding creative and technical achievement in a game made outside the traditional publisher system. Carrion, Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, Hades, Spelunky 2, Spiritfarer. Hades just has here, as we talked about before. It's nominated many places, and I just think that this is where it gets it. If an indie doesn't get in Game of the Year, it's like it's the same way in the Oscars when the animated film gets in Best Year. It never wins, but they win their animated category. So Hades will take this. That's my prediction.
Who's next?
Okay.
Taylor.
I will go.
Kirkland.
No, I'm going.
Kirkland's
Taylor can
going.
Fuck off. Just kidding. I'm going Hades with this one. Just too much hype about this game. I wanna vote Spelunky 2 for my
Hades.
boy Dylan.
Thank you.
But I feel like it's just unfortunately doesn't have as much hype as Hades. That game just totally took over the scene, so I'm gonna go with that one.
I honestly don't know where this Hades game came from. I've not heard of this game at all. So I'm not going to vote for it because obviously their marketing didn't work 100%.
It was shadow dropped.
The
They
marketing
weren't
didn't
trying to
work?
market
What are you
it.
talking
Because
about?
I have never heard of this
Everyone in
game.
the world knows what it is except for you.
So it's not 100% though. I'm in that like 0.01% that didn't hear about this game.
You're nuts.
I'm trying to remember what were the other options again. What was one of the other
Carrion,
options?
Fall Guys, Ultimate Knockout, Hades, Spelunky 2, Spiritfarer.
I'm gonna give it to Splunky too, Dylan, because you were popping
My
up. You were
man.
having a good Splunky night the other night, so I'm gonna give it to you.
I was having. What does that mean? I was having a good Spelunky.
You
night
joined
the
us
other
in
night.
Warzone,
You're
and you're like,
Spelunky.
I was having a real good Splunky night.
Dude, I was on the craziest
Remember?
run.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so Kirklin and Travis, you guys are on the website, right? Well, obviously Travis is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can I just
Yes,
say, I mean,
am.
as Spelunky 2, which is my game of like my life, I love this game so much. It has by far the worst thumbnail I've ever seen
Yeah, it
on this
does.
entire page.
It
It's
does.
just like a random screenshot for the game. And when I went on this to like put my votes in a couple weeks ago, I was just dumbfounded. Like, how is that the picture that they selected? I guess because they like knew it's like gonna be Hades, so they're like, I don't even care. What's this other stuff? We'll just put like a random Google image in there.
Carrion kind of did the same thing. Maybe look at that image. It looks like.
But I
just a
feel like that's
screenshot.
actually yeah, no, you're right for sure. I just feel like Spelunky's is very strange. Yeah, no, Spelunky 2 is like I'm just shocked. I had high expectations for the game and it just blew them out of the water by times a million. Like Spelunky is one of my like top 5 favorite games of all time, and Spelunky 2 is better. So I don't know, decipher what that means to you, but it's pretty amazing game. Unfortunately, it does not stand a chance in this category. This is the same thing that happened in 2018 where Celeste was both in Game of the Year as a nominee and an indie game. And obviously, like, it didn't end up getting Game of the Year, but obviously it's going to sweep indie game. Spelunky 2 in this case also like came out a week before Hades, and then Hades just totally took all the conversation from it because it's from the same genre, and it was just like more accessible, and you know, maybe it's a better game. I accept that that's a potential reality, but you know, I don't care. Hades is going to win this, but I'm voting for Spelunky 2 because that is my obligation.
I respect
as a Spelunky fan.
that.
So everyone go play it. It's like $20. Please go get this game.
I don't know, this thumbnail's not really selling me on it.
I know. What are you doing, Jeff Keighley? Give this game a better thumbnail. It deserves. That's all I have to say. I could say more, but that's all I'll say.
Best Ongoing Game award to a game for outstanding development of ongoing content that involves player experience over time. Apex Legends, Destiny 2, Call of Duty Warzone, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. This one's tough because when we were talking about the coin flip of Doom Eternal and Hades, I feel like I got the same thing with Warzone and Fortnite because I've given them awards in both separate categories elsewhere. But then it's like I feel like Fortnite, Taylor can fucking hate on all he want, but I feel like they are pumping out lots of content. You can literally have Mandalorian and the Wolverine fight show. They had a Galactus event. Like Dylan said, that Blackout event was, to me, that was, everybody was talking about that. That was just such a huge thing, and I've never played it, don't really follow it, but that was just, even I was like, what do they do? Like, that's really awesome. So very viral marketing where you got Warzone, he's the hot kid on the street, you know? He's got these new shoes. Like we talked about, they've made people like myself who I have not played Call of Duty since Modern Warfare 2. That was the last time I played it other than Dylan kicking my ass in the gauntlet one time. So, like, I play it almost weekly now for multiple hours, and I feel like there's many people like that. So, and I feel like the support's been good. I feel like it's a little shitty sometimes when we talk about why they take that away, blah, blah, but it's still, they're constantly updating, constantly trying stuff. I think I'm going to edge towards Warzone just because it's the new thing, and I still feel like Fortnite could be in this category next year and win it, but I would not be surprised if Fortnite won it all. It could be something else, but I feel like those are the two, but I'm going to go with Warzone. I think it just has the hot hand, and yeah, Kirklin.
Yeah, I just want to quickly mention, it's really awesome to see that No Man's Sky is on this list, considering, like, I mean, we've talked about in the past just how bad, like, that release was and how they stuck around and, like, made the game good, and it can actually be nominated for a game like, or a category like this. So huge shouts out to Hello Games for that. I want them to win for that factor, that they didn't just, you know, take the money and run and give up on that game. They actually made it good. So that's really awesome. However, I don't think it stands a chance compared to like Fortnite or Warzone. I'm going to go with Fortnite just because it's been around longer and it's been in the conversation for that long, and it's still pumping out new content, still, you know, getting, I think Master Chief, you know, is coming out on there. All the other, I mean, we've already mentioned all the events, as well as like the collabs that they're doing with licensing and all that stuff. So I think Fortnite will take this one for that reason. That's just been around longer. But Warzone, it's awesome that it's still in the mainstream and we're all still loving it. So that's good.
I think I have the exact same reasoning as Kirklin, and so I'm gonna pick that as well.
I'm going to roll with Warzone, particularly because it's just, as soon as it debuted, this is, again, content that popped off a year later after its base game launched. Within the first 5 months, it peaked at 70 million players in the fan base. Like, it just thrived, and they're still dishing out more content for it, new map and everything, and I think it's just right up people's alleys. Again, it's something that, like, when Fortnite was out, I dived into it and I enjoyed it for the first few months. I did get into that, like, highly addicted. Oh yeah, I got into that highly addicted. Like, role of it and all that stuff, but it just got, like, my brain doesn't work in the sense, like, building and shooting.
Taylor, you keep getting, like, people kept beating you that were like 12-year-olds, right? That's what you got mad
I was getting
about?
ordered around by 12-year-olds.
See? Yeah, exactly.
It's such a complex game, but it has its niche, it has its following, and that's fantastic, because
it's niche.
It's definitely a unique game in its own right, where you're building and you're trying to survive and fight to be the last one standing. Whereas for me, I'm biased in the sense I like Warzone. I like how it's brought people that, you know, you guys, not you guys, but Travis has always shadowed me for my map packs for Call of Duty, but finally here he is. He's playing Warzone. We're staying up till 3 a.m. getting those wins. So it goes to show Warzone's just worked its magic.
I'm not shouting at map packs though every fucking cast though. Now that I play Call of Duty, I'm not like, oh, this weekend I can't wait. Even though that new map is exciting. Games for impact: a thought-provoking game with a pro-social meaning or message, aka a game that almost 100% of us have never played, unfortunately, because it's just the way it goes every year. I see these categories: If Found, Kentucky Route Zero TV Edition, Spiritfarer, Tell Me Why, Through the Darkest of Times. Dylan Muss, lead us away.
It's unfortunate because these games, I just don't like. I've never heard of Through the Darkest of Times or If Found. I know about the other ones, so it's unfortunate that like some of these games like I've just straight up never heard of. Spiritfarer is one that's been on my list all year. I've been waiting to pick it up. Mm-hmm. So, and I've heard a lot of people really quite like it, and it was a lot like I thought it looked cool mechanically, but it was interesting to hear that it also had an interesting story and message to it. Tell Me Why is from the people that oh my god, why can't I remember the name of their game? I can't, but it's some other game that's won these kind of awards in the past, so I think that's probably a safe one. I'm going to go with Spiritfarer. I'm going to go with Spiritfarer on this one.
Kirklin.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Spiritfarer as well. It's really the only game I know on here other than If Found. I was really interested in it. I was following it. Almost bit the bullet on it because it is a co-op game, which is really cool. So Shay and I were going to play it. And I got really intrigued with just like the actual story elements, how you're kind of just guiding these spirits onto the next realm. I think that's really, really cool and unique. And it's beautiful. Looks awesome. Unfortunately, I don't really know any of their games, so I wouldn't feel confident casting them in my vote. So I'm going to go Spiritfarer.
I will triple down on that and go Spiritfarer as well. Taylor Fields.
I will quadruple down.
Whoa.
Ooh.
Well, there you go. I will let Taylor, you'll lead off this one. Best performance awarded to an individual for voice acting, motion, or performance capture. Ashley Johnson as Ellie from Last of Us Part 2. Laura Bailey as Abby from Last of Us Part 2. Daisuke Tajuji as Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima. Logan Cunningham as Hades in Hades. And Naiji Jeter as Miles Morales in Spider-Man Miles Morales.
I mean,
bunch of PlayStation games for you.
Bunch of PlayStation games.
Shout out to Mads, who won this last year. Mads Mikkelsen, our boy.
Shout out
Mads
to Mads.
Mikkelsen.
Yep. Shout out to Mads.
Save Hannibal.
Save Hannibal.
I think I'll probably give it to. Sorry, what was his name again for Miles? Nigel?
Naji Jeter.
Naji Jeter. I will give it to him because, again, I do stand by. That game just looks really, really awesome.
Nice.
Solid.
Great explanation for best performance.
Dylan Muss.
I'm gonna type for a second. So how about someone else goes quickly?
I will go. I'll go on this one. I feel like I should go with Laura Bailey because she is showing more emotion in the thumbnail. But I'm going to go with Ashley Johnson. I feel like, again, I unfortunately haven't played that game. But just the performance-wise, I imagine if she's the main character, she must have some great performances. Ellie, so Ashley Johnson from Last of Us Part 2. I loved her in the first game, and I can only imagine how much more she cranked it up on this one. So
I can't believe you've played the first game like the first game and not played the second game.
I haven't beaten it, so there you go.
This is the Kirklin way of doing things.
It is, yeah. I shouldn't be surprised.
I got pissed off actually, so I benched that game for the meantime.
He broke it over his anger boner. This one's really tough for me because the want is Ellie all the way. Ellie to me is, I could make a case being, it was always John Marston. I could make a strong case, and honestly, now that we're talking about it, I think she might be my favorite video game character of all time. That just spawned from a video game character. Wow. I may or may not be trying to convince Emily to name our next child after this character. So I love Ellie. The journey she went on, not just in the first game, but in the second game completely, is just phenomenal. And you can go back to my review. I did a big deep dive on it. Abby is a very interesting situation because lots of people extremely dislike that character. But as Dylan's pointed out many times, you got to think who's voting for these. And Last of Us, which we'll get into, is one of the best reviewed games of all time, and most of the critics really enjoyed the controversial take of what they did with Abby. It's a minor spoiler, but Kirko, when you're saying Ellie's the main character, they're both the main characters. The game centers around them both. You play as them both. So, and she was kind of like a breakout. Lots of people did enjoy her, but lots of people didn't. It's very, people compare it to Last Jedi. So, I think I've heard a lot of hype for is it Laura Bailey as Bailey as Abby. I've heard tons of people talking about it recently as she's kind of like the front runner, but Ellie's also, she is in the sense still the main protagonist from the last game and this. So it's a toss up. My want is Ellie. My prediction, I think I'll go with the newbie. I think I'll go with the newbie, but it's literally this one I think is super close. I think this could be decided by a few votes. The rest of them are good, but I don't think they hold a candle. I've not played Hades, so take that to credit. But the other two with Miles, he was good, Jin was good, but no, they don't hold a candle to what these two women did. And I wish I wish there was a way that they could like SAG award it and they could both win it and just split it. But if that's the case, I'll predict Laura Bailey. And if she wins, my problems with her, the Abby character, I don't even have problems with that character, it's just her story, was not with the performance. The performance is fantastic. So I wouldn't be that mad. I would just like Ashley Johnson because Ellie is phenomenal in that game. So that is my pick. Dylan Muss.
Nice. Yeah, I love Miles. The game, I was just kind of a little lukewarm on it, but I love that character. I love Jin and Ghost, but I don't think that was a like very outstanding performance. I mean, part of that performance for me is that I played the game in Japanese, but the dubbing of the mouths was not in Japanese, so it was kind of weird to me. I think it's definitely one of the Last of Us characters. Obviously, that's like the narrative game. I'm going to go with Laura Bailey. I think it's kind of the safe pick. I think it's kind of the boring pick because she's won like 1 million awards in her career.
Yeah.
But I mean, I haven't played the game myself, so I'm just going to go with that one because I think it's a bit safer.
There we go. Best audio design, recognizing the best in-game audio and sound design. Doom Eternal, Half-Life Alyx, Ghost of Tsushima, Resident Evil 3, and Last of Us Part 2. So, Taylor Field, what do you get?
This is for best like sound like score or just sound like audio?
Just design,
No
so
audio.
effects, gun
Not
shooting,
music.
stuff like that. I will say
music.
that I will say I'm kind of, I don't think it would have got it, but I honestly really like the Warzone. I see you, Kirklin. I really like the Warzone sound design. I love everything about that game. Like when a plane goes by, it sounds like a fucking Christopher Nolan movie.
I think
so
Modern Warfare was up last year, wasn't it? Because that's when the game itself came out, right?
I guess I mean like Warzone. I guess could you put Warzone in this though?
You could. I mean, I listened to an interview where
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley said you can put any game you want. It does not matter when it came out. So I could put Super Smash Bros. Melee for the Nintendo GameCube as Game of the Year. It's just that no one else would do that, so it wouldn't get nominated. But I mean, you could put that if you wanted to.
Yeah, so I guess I'm in the minority there, but I will go Last of Us Part 2 because that game it's very movie quality level. Like I've not played Resident Evil. I've only played Ghost and Last of Us Part 2, but I just feel kind of like what we talked about earlier with Last of Us pushing some boundaries. I feel like the audio does that, but there's some other cases to be made, I'm sure, for other ones, but I'll just go Last of Us for me, safe one. What about you, Dylan?
Yeah, I think I'm going to do the same. This one really is a toss-up, and I would not be shocked to see it go anyway. This one kind of is funny to me. I totally forgot that Resident Evil 3 remake came out this year. This is like the only time it showed up, whereas last year Resident Evil 2 was like just sweeping everything. So, or I guess I shouldn't say sweeping everything, but it seemed like it was much more in the conversation for different categories. But yeah, I think Last of Us, from what I hear on the technical level, that game was just amazing, and I think that game was divisive, but I think it's more divisive among fans who are not like I guess fans, and whereas the critics were more favorable toward it like across the board, and those are most of the votes that are going to pick the winner. So I think it's a pretty safe pick, but I'm going to do it again here, Last of Us.
Taylor Field.
I am going to drop it on Last of Us. I've not played the second one, but from what I got to experience playing the first one, it was just like audio-wise just fantastic with what they were doing. And yeah, I think it's an easy pick.
I one day want you to play that second one because I would love to hear your opinion on that. Just because it's just such a divisive one. And then Kirkland, same thing when you eventually finish the first one, which will be in a few years. What are you going with?
I feel like one of the biggest things with that game though is you're like you'd be going into it expecting to play Ellie the whole time, and then us knowing that it's not Ellie the entire time would kind of soften the blow of being like, what? This is what I'm getting into.
There's definitely
issue?
That's my biggest issue. The people's biggest issues are there's some other character decisions as well. I feel it's more some of the narrative choices. You know, if that's not my Luke Skywalker, like that's not my Joel, like that type of stuff.
Well, you can lend me your copy, right? Because you got
digital.
I know you did.
I can lend you my PS4.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, this one I'm gonna break the mold here. I'm gonna go Doom Eternal on this one. I have no experience obviously with Last of Us 2. I think that one is probably the safer option, but Doom Eternal, I haven't played Doom Eternal, but like Doom 2016, like the audio in that game is just insane, and it's very like sensory overload, but like I feel like it fits that game. And I watched like a YouTube video like talking about like the music and the audio design on that game, and it's pretty much what's making me pick it for this category. I really want to see that game win one category here, so I'll probably be dropping a couple votes on it to hopefully get one right. I want to see it win.
Yeah,
because unfortunately I feel like it kind of I don't know got slipped to the wayside.
It didn't have the same impact as that first one. Like Dylan said, it came out same time around Animal Crossing. It got delayed like once or twice, which is always better for the game, but still can sometimes you kind of lose where it is, and then it just kind of comes out. And I think people still like it, but it did not. I'm excited to play it, but it was not the hype of the first one. But
for sure.
We have our five. Oh, go ahead.
And then I just wanted to quickly mention, Dylan, you're saying like comparing Resident Evil 2 to Resident Evil 3. From what I heard, Resident Evil 3 was just way shorter than Resident Evil 2, and I feel like people were expecting like the same length and like quality of that game. I think the quality was still excellent. It's just people were kind of let down with the length of it. It was like, oh, this is a full price game.
Too, right? I think part of it was like Resident Evil 2 was just this, like the graphics were insane, one of the best looking games of all time, whereas Resident Evil 3 is just more the same.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, we have our 5 final awards. We're going to take our last ad break, and then we're going to get to those. So listen, and then we'll be right back. We are back. Best score. So here you go, Taylor. You can go first on this one. Best score and music for outstanding, not just great, not just good, outstanding music, inclusive of score, original song, or licensed soundtrack.
And Taylor loves his music.
Doom Eternal. Oh, he does. He loves it. Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Hades, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and Last of Us Part 2.
I haven't listened to any of these scores.
Go with your feeling, your gut. What do you think? You just look at those posters and think, man, this one would have great music. Was I wrong to throw to you first?
I think you were.
So I'm gonna cover for you. I'm gonna go. I think lots of these could win. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Final Fantasy VII because one game that I will play eventually in my log list of games I'm gonna get to. I'm hopefully gonna get to the Resident Evils coming up here soon. All of like the past 3 I've missed, but I do remember playing the demo and even seeing the E3 trailer, and I've heard other people talk about this too. But just the music like rapidly going in that gameplay and whatnot. People that like myself, I play the original game, not play the remake just because life is busy. There is a sense of nostalgia there, so I think it kind of almost has that Star Wars John Williams feel where it's something that's old and comfortable but new and refreshing at the same time. So I think I'm gonna give it the edge to that. Also, just because I think Last of Us will win in a lot of other categories, like I've already predicted, if my predictions stay true. So that's why I think throw Final Fantasy maybe another award here. So that's my prediction. Kirkland.
Yeah, this is another one of those categories that I could really see. Like, I could honestly see any of these games on here. I feel like Ori will be missed in a lot of categories, but it's got some really like creative, original songs and stuff in there. I'm assuming Hades. I haven't really heard too much of the music on there. I do want to vote for Doom Eternal for like the exact same reasons I gave in the last category. I like that video was tied to the audio as well as the score and the music, so I do want to vote for there, but I also want to vote for Final Fantasy because I know how like iconic that original soundtrack is from that game. And then I agree with Travis's point. I think Last of Us will just win in other categories, so they won't feel the need to give it in this one. I think I'm gonna go with Final Fantasy on this one, just for the nostalgic, iconic music as well as whatever they've added.
Yeah, fair enough. This one, this one's a little weird for me. Like, for all the great things I've heard about Hades, Ori, and Last of Us, the music is not one of the things that I've heard people talk about. So obviously they're good enough to get nominated here, but I don't really foresee any of those three winning. I think it is a toss-up between Doom Eternal and Final Fantasy. Doom Eternal, I think... I remember there being like some controversy with the soundtrack. Like, it was much shorter than the first game. It wasn't done as well, or I don't know. There was just some weird controversy, I remember, when the game came out. So I think for that reason, and the fact that Final Fantasy VII, like the original game, has some of the most iconic video game music of all time, and this is just like, new music, but also just redone versions of that with like full orchestras and all that. I think it's got it in the bag.
Taylor, you ready now?
Yes. So going down the list, I think you guys make good points that Last of Us will win in other categories. Hades, no comment. And I think that Doom, I honestly am surprised it had a soundtrack. I thought it was just organs exploding and demons being killed. I didn't.
No, the sound. You gotta play the
music's
first one. The
amazing.
soundtrack's so good.
Well,
The music's
so
so
good.
good.
Is it? Okay, I'll have to actually listen to it because I thought I like the older ones. Like I can recall, like they're like soundtracks and such, but like the newer ones, like I feel like it's
definitely
just
a mood.
explosions.
You
Like,
can
it's not
listen-
something you'll put on to chill. It's very like high energy,
It's
but
Mountain
it is
Dew.
amazing.
It's Mountain Dew and
music.
Doritos. That's what that is.
And you
Yeah.
can listen to it, but you won't get the full effect unless you're playing that game. You gotta be in the midst of like running wall to wall, killing those demons.
So
throwing
it's not
grenades,
like
and just,
getting
like, running
freaky
for
in
your
the
life.
sheets. Let's Google turn
Some
on
people,
turn
yeah.
on the Doom's Spotify playlist.
It could
About
work for your angry
50% of the
boner.
time that I'm in Briggs's car with him, he is playing the Doom soundtrack, and most of the time it's too much for me, as much as I love the music. But yeah, it's great.
And I've only been in Briggs's car a few times, and I think 100% of the time that's music playing. So, yeah.
I'm gonna drop my vote on Final Fantasy.
Nice.
Jesus. Okay. Best art direction for outstanding creative and or technical achievement in artistic design and animation. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Ori, and Will the Wisp, and Last of Us Part 2. Just a stacked
Really
lineup.
is,
I've
yeah.
heard tons of love, and we've talked about Ori and the Will and the Wisp, so I feel like that could take it. My want is Ghost of Tsushima because I think that is just one of the most beautiful, breathtaking games. The landscape's the difference, but I understand that Ori has that quality as well. I've just not obviously experienced that. I've just heard that from a lot of people and seen trailers and whatnot. I just still, again, this sounds bad for me to say because I haven't played Ori. It's just that I also think the art design of Ghost of Tsushima can affect the story and the feeling of it. I'm sure Ori does that as well, but that's why I will predict Ori, because I think Ori's going to get snubbed in a lot of places, and this might be its place to honor it, where Ghost of Tsushima could win Best Action Game or something like that. But I definitely want Ghost of Tsushima to get the win here. And again, yeah, it's a little biased. I love that game, but hey, there's actual critics voting for these that haven't played all these games or whatnot too. So you just kind of go with what you go with, and Ghost of Tsushima is the one I want. But I will make my official prediction: Ori. Kirklin Patzer.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down my want and my prediction on Ghost of Tsushima on this one. I just went on a rant probably on it on our review, just how beautiful this game is. I remember like before the game came out, I'm like, oh, there's like a camera mode where you can like take images. I'm like, that's kind of cool. I'm never gonna touch it. I fucking touched that button like it was the last button on earth,
boy.
man. Oh my god. I found so many just unique areas. Like the lighting just was on another level. So I'm gonna pick Ghost, even though I think most of the games in this category have a really good shot at this. I like Travis's explanation on Ori because I don't see it winning many categories, even though it's a beautiful game. But I'm gonna go with Ghost.
Fair enough. I think both of those are fantastic picks. I think Ori's a great one. Travis, your pick there. I mean, And I think it also has like a nice recency boost too, because that is one of the games that, from the sounds of it, has taken the most advantage of next gen. Like it's playing like 120 frames and like 8 million K. Like it's just insanely good looking. So I think it might get some bonus votes from people there. And then I totally see Kirkland's point of view with Ghosts. I mean that is the most beautiful like form of media I feel like I've ever seen, and I'm playing it on like my 7-year-old PlayStation with like a 10-year-old TV. So like things can look a lot better than that, and that was still like the most beautiful thing. I do think this really could go any way, except for I don't think Hades would take this one. And I'm gonna go with my heart on this one, on Ghosts. That is my want, and I'm also gonna double down and I think it does have a chance too, because it is just such a beautiful game, between the different landscapes, between the lighting, as Kirkland said, just the horizons. Like it is insane.
Oh yeah, as well as even like the opportunity of going like Kurosawa mode, which is black and white, but it's just a very beautiful aesthetic. So
film grain,
really
the whole shebang.
Yeah. Plus, as you said too, the photo mode is insane.
Yeah.
To the field.
I'm gonna go with you, Travis, and go with Ori. I think that game, just from what we've seen at several E3s ago, it just was beautiful what they would show.
Several E3s ago? What are you talking about?
You're probably talking about the
Isn't
first
it on Game Pass? You should go
back in my day.
One of the Oris that they displayed at E3, I can't recall. But overall,
I'm voting for this one because the first one looks so good.
The franchise in general, it's just they come to bad. Like these games like look absolutely phenomenal. Their aesthetics are just visually appealing and aesthetically pleasing. It's just so come to bad. They're so awesome, and it's something that I definitely want to get involved with and try and experience.
It's on Game Pass. You can play it right now. You could have been playing it for the last.
Is it actually on Game Pass?
It's an.
Ooh, I might have to dip the toes.
Dip the toes.
Dip
both toes.
All 7 of them.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate smelting accident. Best narrative for outstanding storytelling and narrative development in a game. 13 Sentinels, Aegis Rim. That they just made that up right now. That game didn't exist. Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, and Last of Us Part 2.
Did you say 13 Sentinels?
Is it Sentinels?
That's what it is. Yep.
It is.
What the fuck is 13 Sentinels?
Go look it up. Play it tonight. Buy it. It's $100.
Oh.
It's like a visual novel / strategy sort of game.
I will throw to Dylan Musk.
Yeah,
first.
this one's an interesting category. I think it could go many different ways. 13 Sentinels, you guys are memeing on it. I've heard good things about it. I haven't heard that from too many people, though. It's just the people that I have heard who have played it, like, think it's one of the most amazing, underrated games ever. So I just, it's obviously got enough to get nominated, but I don't think it'll quite have enough people who, I just don't think it has enough raw people who have actually played the game to get enough votes. So it's kind of between the other four, and I do think it's, honestly, I don't think it's a toss-up. I think Last of Us is going to win this without a doubt, but I think all of them have something to show. Like, I think Final Fantasy Remake taking this older game and revitalizing it, adding new story stuff that doesn't feel shoehorned in, like it feels like it always was there and you just couldn't see it. Ghost of Tsushima, I think, is a really fun... It's a really fun story. I really like going through it. I liked a lot of the characters. I don't think it's narratively one of the greatest stories I've ever played. And then Hades... That's the thing, right? Like, it's a roguelike game, which are not really known for having any sort of narrative, and it is like the first one that really has really substantial narrative and just tons of lines of dialogue for all sorts of unique interactions in the game. So I do think there is a chance that Hades or Final Fantasy could take it, but realistically, I think it's just going to be Last of Us win, which is the boring pick again, but that's the one I'm going to predict. And my want, I would go with Hades, actually. That's my want for this one, but I'm going to predict Last of Us.
Well, I'll follow that up with Dylan said there's a little chance. I think there's no chance in hell any of these win other than Last of Us Part 2, just because I don't think I've heard, especially Final Fantasy VII or Ghost, I don't think those are the reasons those people talk about those games. 13 Sentinels, I haven't heard anything. Hades... I think because Last of Us is just pure story, and again, if it was a fan vote, maybe not, because it's critics and they just absolutely love that game. I think it will take it. Last of Us Part 2 will get the win there. Taylorfield.
I'm with you on The Last of Us. I think you said everything that needs to be said. It's just the pure story. Again, 13 Sentinels, not here of that. Not here of Hades. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like every game on here, their main focus of these video games aren't best narrative other than Last of Us. Like, when you look at that thumbnail, it just looks like a movie, like, screenshot.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what the game's for. So I think this is a solid Last of Us.
One thing GameAwards.com I would appreciate in the future if there's a game nominated multiple times is maybe different thumbnails for each one, because, you know, just to spice it up a little bit. But
And a better
I
one for
digress.
Spelunky too, please.
That too, right. And a better one. Best Game Direction, award for outstanding creative vision and innovation in game direction and design. We always talk about this every year of like that versus Game of the Year. But Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Half-Life Alyx, Last of Us Part 2. I'll start. Half-Life Alyx is the only kind of difference there between Game of the Year, so that's interesting. But I will... reason I'm going first is because if anyone's a long-time listener, they know I'm a broken record on this, but the stat to me has been there since until last year that before, once the Game Awards started, every person that's won Game Direction has won Game of the Year. And it's gone that way all the way until last year when Hideo Kojima won for Death Stranding for Game Direction, then Sekiro won for Game of the Year. I think that was just because it was a different year where it was like Game of the Year was so up in the air, people didn't there wasn't a front runner. Where this year I feel like even like Dylan says, it might be the boring choice. Last of Us is the front runner. It's the safe option, but I still think it is the best option. And again, for me, when we get into some of these with the wanted stuff, because I haven't played them all, and I still think I have lots of problems with Last of Us Part 2, but I still think it's above and beyond some of these other ones that I at least heard of, like same thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake and Ghost of Tsushima, at least I can speak on. I think this will win Game Direction, especially Neil Druckmann will get up there and make a great speech. I guess it's in person. I don't know what the deal is, but I think, I guess it's spoiling my pick too, but I think last year was just an exception to the rule that I talk about. I think it'll win Game Direction and also win Game of the Year. Taylorfield.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw my pick to you. I agree. I mean, I feel like a lot of these.
What did you pick, Travis? I didn't even hear you.
Last of Us
Sorry.
Part 2.
Oh, okay. For both categories, you just voted for both
yeah,
two.
pretty much. Yeah, because I just think, like I said, my theory is other than last year, they've always gone hand in hand. Like since 2005, it's been best, and they at one point called it developer before direction, but it's always been the exact same. So
I'm just gonna go with your logic on it, but again, like a lot of the other titles, like it's a lot of recurring titles, and I can only say so much about these recurring titles. So yeah.
Yeah, I know.
What do you got, Kirklin?
Yeah, I'll go here. I'm gonna put all my chips on Final Fantasy VII for this category here. I feel like Travis brought up some good points. He's got like an algorithm on how these things are ran. He's like the master when it comes to award shows. He watches them religiously. So, but I'm pretty confident. I feel like Final Fantasy will win this because I feel like to take a game that's so iconic like that and really remake it, not just like bump the graphics and everything, like it really takes us like a good direction on what they want to do, whether they do want to change a lot of things or keep it similar. And in this one they did change a lot of mechanics. I didn't play it or the original, so I can't really speak on like how much got changed, but I feel like it really takes a creative like eye on doing something like that. And certain people had some issues with it, at least people in my social circles that I've talked to, but overall I think it's a very well regarded game. Just so yeah, I'm gonna put all my chips on Final Fantasy VII on this one.
Yeah, that's an interesting pick. When I think of game direction specifically, for some reason the idea of a remake being there just doesn't sound like it fits. I know that's not good enough credit to what Final Fantasy VII Remake actually is, because it's a pretty it's taking like a 4 to 10 hour chunk of a game and turning that into a 40 to 50 hour game. And then just totally, redoing the whole game from the ground up. So it's not just a rehash remake. It's like a fully new creative thing. So I get it, but my vote's gonna go elsewhere. I think Ghost of Tsushima is an interesting one. And while it does innovate in a lot of ways, I do feel like it is still maybe a bit too similar to the trends of like games recently. It's like it's like the best Assassin's Creed game. People like meme about that, but it kind of is in some ways. Sorry, Taylor. And I think that is true in some respect, that it is just like, oh, it's another like kind of open world game with a lot of different things to go do on the map. And then I think, on top of that, it has some innovations in movement and combat and stuff like that. But I don't think it's going to be enough for it to take this category. I mean, I think this category is already very nebulous and kind of strange and just so close to Game of the Year, but not really Game of the Year, that it's kind of confusing anyway. Yeah. Half-Life, I think it's just a bit too niche, or niche in the way that it's maybe inaccessible to too many outlets, perhaps. Though I don't know how they nominate stuff exactly, I guess. So to me, it's kind of between Hades and Last of Us. I do think Last of Us is the safe pick, but I am gonna go with Hades. I think it's interesting that an indie game made it into this category, because I think even in the past where we've had, Celeste pop in Game of the Year, I don't think it's really been the case where we've had an indie game pop up in game direction. And I think Hades is just like a massively interesting game for its genre and also just for games in general. So I'm gonna go with Hades. It's kind of my want and my prediction here, but I just think it would be really cool for an indie game to take this category.
Outer Wilds, that was the indie one, right? Because Outer Worlds was the big one.
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they had, and A Way Out one year got that. That's kind of funny. I forgot about that. A Way Out and whatnot. So yeah, I am always waiting for like, because it's going to happen at some point. There's going to be a Parasite moment at Game Awards, and it's going to be like, when does an indie game take this the top prize?
I do feel like Hades could be that one, man. Like it really has taken over the conversation.
It could, but I think for me it could have if it was like last year when it was like up in the air. I just feel like if the critics had the same kind of reaction as the fans, or even close to Last of Us, but it's just because they love it so much, that's why I think it will get it. And then we get Game of the Year. It's the exact same ones except for you take out. Well, actually, no. So I guess there's more in this one. Sorry. Doom Eternal, Final Fantasy Remake, 7 Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, Hades, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, The Last of Us Part 2. Obviously, Half-Life Alyx not there. And then Doom Eternal is there because Cyberpunk got delayed so much it couldn't make its release date. At least that's my working theory. Like I said, I think it's Last of Us for me. And it's just, I'm the same as Dylan, and I may be more controversial to say with movies. I'm the same way that people say I'm wrong, but I still feel like Best Director is a pointless award too, because I always feel like if someone wins if there is a best movie, I feel like the person that made that movie is automatically the best in my opinion. So it's the same for me with game direction. Is like if Hades wins Game of the Year, it should win game direction. I feel like they go hand in hand because I feel like it's a weird like, how does this make sense? So obviously I said Last of Us Part 2 there. Taylor?
Again, we're kind of going on the same train here, but I'm going to go with Last of Us Part 2 as well. To me, that makes the most sense.
Kirklin?
Yeah, I think this is The Last of Us Part 2, just based on how many high scores I've seen.
All aboard.
on the reviews.
You're going with the split, though. You're saying game direction Final Fantasy 7, but then Game of the Year Final or Last of Us Part 2. You're saying 2 years in a row we get the split.
Oh, totally. Okay. Yeah, I don't believe
Kirkland's
in
got
your
his own algorithm.
I don't have to abide by it. Yeah.
I'm just confirming for the fans so they know on next Thursday when you're wrong.
What is your want here, Kirkland? Yeah.
Me personally, Ghost of Tsushima, because I love that game. I had really high expectations for it, and it blew them out of water. I thought that visually was going to be like the biggest pull for me, but it was really the combat. Like I was not expecting to enjoy the combat that much, and bumping it up on like lethal mode, play like online survival and all these things that they've added that wasn't even promised in like when the game was coming out. That's just amazing to me. So that's a big bias pick, especially because I just like that era. Yeah. This was the Assassin's Creed like Japanese, samurai that I always wanted.
Oh, you'll get that.
Don't need that anymore because now I don't need it anymore. I don't need it anymore though because I got it. Yeah, exactly.
But we
So
won't be there.
that's definitely my want, but I think it's Last of Us Part 2.
Taylor, you saying that Assassin's Creed is like some girl that's dating a guy, and she's like, yeah, well, if I ever break up with this guy, like, you'll be next. It's like, yeah, but I found a different girl. But I'm available now. No, I found a girl that's the same and better
You're
than
telling
you.
me that
Mads
Mads Mikkelsen put that on the table for you? You're not going to wait for him?
No, I got Emily already. It's too late. I'm not just gonna dump her guys like, oh, Mads is here now. He missed his chance. So the same way when you say, oh, look, Assassin's Creed's come out, we're gonna go, no, we got Ghost of Tsushima 2 coming, man. We can wait.
Is an emoji. This is the day or the year of the Viking.
What the fuck? What does that even do with this conversation?
It's not on Game of the Year.
Travis, what's your want what's your want for this year?
I knew you were
What
gonna
is
ask
your
me
game
that.
of the year so far?
I knew you were gonna ask me that because
I'm asking all of you. I'm
this
curious. I want to know.
Well, I was hoping to avoid that because I honestly don't know. You guys know I'm a story guy.
It's just between Ghost and Last of Us for you, or is there something else?
Yes, 100%. No, it's 100% those two. Ghost is the one I had so much fun with, and I continue to have fun. Obviously, we haven't done online well, but when we do, it's just been such a, like Kirklin said, they gave us even more than they promised. They over-delivered big time. I think for me, so if you ask me what's the most fun game, I go Ghost, but I just... I guess I go Ghost still because I just go with what would I replay again, and even Last of Us 1 I would replay. Last of Us Part 2 with my problems, I don't know if I could replay that game. But at the same point, that story to me, other than some problems that I kind of have some prequel issues with, is just like above and beyond. Like it's up there with Red Dead for me as far as these characters like really revolving. So like if I'm playing it one time through, you only get to play this game once, then it's Last of Us. But the ongoing, I guess I lean towards Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, and I think
But
even
it's
that
very tough.
multiplayer coming out later kind of gives it a
Yes.
little bump as well. Taylor, I really have no idea. What is your game of the year this year?
I can tell you what it's not. It's not Call of Duty Cold War. But my game of the year is...
Yeah, that game didn't show up at all. And did it come out too late, I guess?
No, it won't. It's like the worst ranked Call of Duty game right now.
More than Ghosts?
I would put Ghosts over that, but in the list I saw, I don't think they even
Wow.
had Ghosts on the list, so that's saying
What
something.
list? Where was
It's
this
like
list?
the worst Call of Duty games.
.net.
I know.
A piece of paper in front of Taylor.
Yeah, he made it. Oh, I haven't seen these lists.
No, but my game of the year, oof, that's hard because I feel like this year I've really kind of like branched out into different games, like especially with like PC games too.
Not Hades.
Yeah, definitely not Hades. I don't know where Hades came from.
You should look the game up and play it, maybe.
I'll have to.
I want to see a stream.
I'll try and stream it for you, Kirkland. Why not? But yeah, this is tricky. Like, there's been a few titles like the game like Phasmophobia is one that I do like want to like at least honorable mention because that game just came out of nowhere and I've had such a blast playing that with Ruben. It is so much freaking fun. But I feel like I'd either have it's so close. I'd probably lean more towards Valhalla, but I really do love where Warzone is. And if Warzone gets all this new content, I think that could easily be my new game of the year. So
Nice. Solid.
Travis, you look like you're inside of the Green Lantern right now.
What about you, Dylan? I think we know.
I mean, my game of the year is easily Splunky too, but I think this list is interesting. I don't think Doom Eternal has a chance. I don't think Final Fantasy VII Remake unfortunately has a chance there. So it is.
Really? You're putting it in the Doom Eternal?
No, I think Doom Eternal is below it, but I still don't think it has even like a chance.
Really? Yeah. I'm surprised. I still think there's a chance it's the underdog squeak through because nostalgia. I think there's still
that's interesting.
I
think if there's an underdog sneak through, it's Ghost. I feel like that's just my vibe at least. And I think Ghost is a great game. I don't think it's quite gonna win. That's gonna be my want on this list because I love Splunky 2. Obviously, it's not here, but like Ghost is an easy second for me this year. And if obviously I have so much like of my mind is like dedicated to Spelunky, so if I even take that part away, then like Ghost, it just is my game of the year in that way. Between the rest of them, Animal Crossing's really interesting. I love that game as well. Played a lot of it. Unfortunately, it didn't really stick with me as much as I would have wanted it to. Like, that's a game that you'd kind of want to stick around for the whole year, and every week or two you hop on, do some stuff. But I just played so much of it on release, and I kind of burnt out, and I haven't really gone back to it that often. Last of Us, I'm not really a Naughty Dog fan, so I didn't get around to it. And then Hades, just because Hades and Spelunky are the same genre, I'm just I've Spelunky. I'll get to Hades when I'm bored of Spelunky, but for now, I just I'm gonna wait until I can give it a fair shake. But I really do think it is kind of between Hades, Animal Crossing, and Last of Us in terms of what it's going to be. And it really is difficult for me to pick. I think once again Last of Us is the safe pick, but I am going to again put the heart of the cards on Hades and pull for the indie game to take it, because I just think that would be so cool. Plus that game is just getting an absurd amount of praise from like every outlet, like any podcast I listen to, anyone on the internet, just loving Hades. Apparently Taylor's never heard of it, but I've had the opposite effect where like everyone has heard of it and everyone's praising it. Whereas Last of Us, maybe was divisive in some way. I think it was more divisive among internet trolls than like actual critics, but I still think that's worth some value. And yeah. So I think I'm gonna at the end of the day pick Hades. And I realized I forgot to write down best narrative. Kirklin, Taylor, did you guys go with Last of Us or did you switch it up?
Last of Us.
Yeah.
Narrative,
Okay,
I did.
cool.
I did Last of Us.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Hades Game of the Year, and that's the last one.
Nice. I gotta
Whoa.
say, on the website they have a little history tab. It's really cool because it shows like the viewership that they had. It's pretty insane how big.
Of Hades you're talking about?
For no,
Oh,
sorry,
Game
for
Awards.
Game Awards. Like on the website, if you hit the history tab, it goes like 2014 viewership 1.9 million, 2015 2.3 million, 2016 3.8 million, and then 2017
Wow.
11.5. So that's a big jump. But then 2018 26 million, and then jumping up again was 49. Like that's insane how much it's grown. I'm really interested in seeing what this one does, considering like the COVID protocols and everything.
I think
That's
it'll
like
all be
our
online.
shows.
Taylor, you look
I was
like
gonna say that's like our show
Yeah, our-
statistics.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, we're gonna get that 40 million soon. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in this episode. Dilmas, thank you very much for joining
good to be
us
back.
and making a nice little comeback here. Yes, it was
Yeah. Good to
tons
see
of
you.
fun. Yeah, let us know if you have some predictions. Let us know what you think we're right or wrong on. And then, like we said, we're gonna wait and see. We might do a cast after the awards, because if not, we'll talk about the winners at some point. But if there's some big announcements, stuff like that, we may do something kind of impromptu. Thank you very much, Kirkland Patzer. But, ladies and gentlemen, when you hear from us next, it'll not be
Later.
more.
Bye bye.
Goodbye. It wasn't actually 25 minutes. I just wanted to meme.
It was probably
so
almost
I forgot to
25
start
minutes.
a timer again.
All right, I got this list
That's
saved down here. It's gonna be fun. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Too much show. Anyway, it was fun, guys. I'm going to peace out, but that was a good time. And we'll do some more gaming soon. We'll play some more Warzone or some Ghost Legends. Okay. Peace.